Hey y'all, Fred here. I know you know what this is. Everybody and their cousin has now seen these, but until now I couldn't get one because you guys bought them all. Thank you very little. I was actually traveling down in North Georgia mountains one day and just happened to be in a Walmart picking up some supplies for our trip. Stumbled over by the knife cabinet and saw one of these sitting in the counter, and I'd like to freak out over a $10 knife. Obviously snatched it up. I haven't done, nor will I do a review. This video is actually going to be cutting tests. And this is the Ozark Trail Orange D2 no-name knife. They really should give this thing a name, as popular as it has become. I certainly don't want to call it the bug-out killer or the $10 bug-out killer. I don't want to use Ozark Trail Orange D2 knife. You can see I did pick this up from Walmart. It is under $10. Of course, that's before tax. 7.5 inch total folding knife with a D2 high carbon steel blade. Nobody knows what that means. Injection handle means it's plastic over steel liners. We're going to take a little bit of a closer look at this before we get to the cutting test. In case you haven't seen these tests before, this is the redneck cutting test. We go anywhere from a 1, which is cuts like a spoon, up to a 10, which could shave a peach without touching the fuzz. This is not a particularly objective test. I do try to be consistent in the testing with as much, square inches of cardboard and the same hose cuts and rope cuts that we put all the knives through. We're going to see how well it holds up and do a little bit of testing. After each test, we slice it through paper to figure out how good is this thing still cutting. We all know that cutting paper is the most scientific test that you can get in terms of rating the sharpness of a blade. So there you go. If you're in for that, stick with me. All right, let's do a quick, I'll bring the specs up down the left-hand side of the screen just in case you haven't really seen this thing. I actually measured this out at 7.6 inch. They say it's 7.5 inch on the box. Mine came in at 7.6. What are you going to do about that? The blade is 3.3 inches. Cutting edge is also about 3.3 inches. Closed length, 4.3 inches. Blade thickness is actually very slicey. It's less than 100 thousandths. It's 91 thousandths. Handle thickness is a little over half an inch, 0.52, but it has actually nicely contoured plastic injection molded scales over steel liners there. The blade finish is going to be most certainly just some kind of paint that they put on there. We're going to see how well that holds up in the testing as well. Does have a fairly decent little hollow grind on this blade, so that's pretty cool. As I mentioned, plastic over steel liners. Are they milled out? They are milled out. So let's see if I can get this in the proper light where you can barely see there's like speed holes milled into both sides of these scales. So pretty cool on that. How about that? D2 steel. Have no idea what high carbon D2 really means. We're going to find out. These have been all over the place in testing by a billion other people out there. Sometimes they last phenomenally and sometimes they fall apart almost immediately. So who knows what that means? It's very lightweight, 2.71 ounces. Does use obviously the axis lock. You can see it's pretty smooth on this crossbar / axis lock. All good there. Price under 10 bucks. Behind the edge, only about a 21 thousandth. So despite the fact that it's a thin blade to start and it's a hollow grind to boot, it still wasn't really like the most thin behind the edge kind of knife. But 21 thousandths is certainly not bad. I think it'll do a fine job. We're going to find out. In terms of size comps, we'll do a few comps. It's always impossible to really understand the size of a knife from videos. I have tried this now multiple times. You can see this does fit in between the PM2, in this case the OK81, great knife, and the Parrot 3, closer to the Parrot 3 size. You've got a Vision FG, there you go. How about the Pyrite Light? It is in between both of those, just a tad longer. I know this always gets deceptive when I try to put these together. We're talking like an 1/8 of an inch, maybe a 1/16 of an inch. So basically the same size as your Pyrite Light. All right, what else do we want to talk about? The ergonomics. This has actually got pretty good ergonomics, you guys. Apart from this pocket clip, which you can see the bill rides really high. That's going to be a snag magnet. Will also tear up the paint on your car. If you happen to rub down your car, don't do that. They did, however, give us a nice recessed reversible pocket clip. They do use button screws, so they stick up a little bit, but that's never been a problem for me going in and out of the pocket. And because that bill is so high, it slides in and out very easily. It's a pretty stiff pocket clip. I expect that bill to become a little bit painful, maybe in my hard push cuts. We're going to find out. I don't know. It's going to stab you a little bit right there in the hand. We're going to find out. Otherwise, great contoured plastic scales. The texturing here is actually a little bit grippy, so you got to love that. All good. You do have a little bit of a finger choil squared off area right here. I think when I am cutting cardboard, I will most likely have my finger here in that position. But, you know, in most cases, you're going to be choked up right behind this little swell right there. Kind of locks you in. I'm a size large glove, so you can see this would certainly fit XL hands just easy. The jimping is actually pretty darn functional on this knife. You can see it's just deep enough that it actually gives you a little traction. It's carried over all the way down into the scales here. Because it's a coated blade, it's probably not as grippy as it could be, but overall, I'm going to say that is minimal but functional jimping right there. So all good on that typical drop point blade that you're used to seeing on the bug out. You know, probably should have brought out a bug out to compare it to, because everybody calls this the $10 bug out killer. Can you see some similarities there? I'm guessing you probably can. You know, it's going to be up to you. You're certainly not going to get an S30V blade on this thing at 10 bucks, but really a D2 blade, if it's treated well, and apparently that seems to be a little all over the place, you know, who knows? We're going to find out how well this thing lasts. That's the whole point of this thing. Again, this is really for 10 bucks. You're not going to get a $10 knife anywhere else that has even close to this quality overall. And even we're going to call it the fit and finish for a $10 knife. It's pretty solid, y'all. I mean, the liners are done well. There's no real sharp edges. Everything is coated and painted well. It's consistent. There's no burrs anywhere that I can find. The springs, the tension on the springs is, I'm going to call that light to medium, but you can see it is absolutely 100% functional for a crossbar axis lock. It slides home, it doesn't bounce out. The detent is actually pretty good on this thing. You know, the detent's obviously provided by that spring. There's no detent ball on a crossbar lock. All is good there. You know, listen, without question, you're not going to find a better knife in the $10 price range. However, that being said, on the sharpness scale, it didn't come incredibly sharp out of the box. I didn't want to sharpen it because I want to test it as it is out of the box. It cuts. There are no nicks in the blade. I have done this very slowly all the way down just to make sure there's no nicks or scratches or dings in that blade, but it's doing some pretty rough cuts. So I'm going to call this an 8 out of a 10 on the starting scale. So, you know, we're starting at an 8 out of a 10. It's obviously not going to get any better than that during our test, so we'll see how far it drops from an 8. With that being said, let's jump over to the cutting table and start the cutting. All right, as always, we are going to start out with the cardboard. We got 413 square inches. Going to hold it kind of that little, maybe forward choked up with my finger on that, you can't call it a choil, just the front edge of the scale. It's a little flat spot there. It feels very comfortable to hold it in there, no problem. I'm going through this first piece of cardboard at regular speed just because, you know, sometimes it's nice to be able to see how easy or not easy a knife goes through cardboard. So never sure what to expect with this knife. You know, reports have been all over the place. Some say it's been fantastic and done great. Some people have said, no, it was a piece of junk. We're going to see how this one holds up, at least how it holds the edge. I will tell you, it does not go through cardboard like a hot knife through butter, like so many of the other knives that we've tested. Although it does have a nice hollow grind to it, relatively thin, slicey blade, there are places in here in cutting this cardboard where it's just not one of those really slicey knives. I mean, you can feel the difference. I'm not sure how else to explain that. I'm actually going to slow down and go into single speed here in just a second to show you where it kind of gets roughed up on that edge. It's just not even biting really by this third board. It's not biting well into the cardboard. So not bad. I mean, you certainly could break down plenty of cardboard boxes with this thing. And again, you've got to keep it all in perspective with the cost of this knife compared to what it can do for you, regardless of how long it holds an edge. Definitely, you know, something to be said for that. So let's check and see how well the edge held up here. And there you go. You can see right from the beginning, I could feel it when I was running my fingernail down the blade. There are some pretty significant, I don't know if you want to call them, you know, micro nicks in the blade, snags. There's snags in this blade, and there are multiple snags, and it's all down at the kind of the base of the blade where you would start your cardboard cuts. So it's clear to me, although it only started at an 8 out of a 10, it's clear to me already at this point that that cardboard definitely did a number on this edge. So not sure why. You know, D2 coated blade,
takes it down a notch, but who knows? It's all over the place. So the best I can give it really at this point is a 4. I'm trying to do a little bit more of these draw cuts just to give a good example of what this looks like. You know, how high you have to hold that blade off the edge of the table there. Going through the hose, you can also feel it's just not that slicey, easy going through. It's not terrible. You can see it cut through it fairly easily, just kind of moving through all this in fast speed. I think you guys are getting the idea. It definitely can handle the job. You know, wouldn't want to cut rubber hoses all day with this thing, but you saw it. It goes through there, no problem. Again, for the cost of this knife, no complaints here. Perfectly happy with that. Let's see if we did any additional damage to the edge. Usually after the rubber hose, we don't do much more damage than kind of what was already done. It's going to be the 𝗧𝗿𝗶𝗶𝗃 coming up next that's going to really do any more damage. So you can see this is me, and why I'm just cutting so many chunks here is I'm trying to really determine where exactly on the blade are the snags. So we're still at a 4, same as what we were before. Let's dive into the rope and see what we can do here. So kind of tough. You can see I'm struggling a little bit. There's no bite in this blade. That's a good way to explain it. There's definitely not a bite. It did cut those first 2 cuts fairly cleanly, but you can see it takes some sawing action, and as I get to the 3rd and now this 4th, it just all falls apart on me as far as this knife goes. It's not cutting at all, even sawing and pushing hard and bearing down. So I'm bailing out after 4 cuts. I'm not even going to go to the usual 10. I can see already it's not going to make it. Let's see what the edge looks like here. And you can see it's as rough as it was before. I think it actually has gotten a little bit worse, which is normal for this 𝗧𝗿𝗶𝗃. This is kind of the edge killer part of the test. If it's going to get damaged, it's going to get damaged here. So still a 4. I think that's generous, actually. It's probably a 3.5. Let's try it on the wood here. Again, this is largely ergonomic as much as it is, you know, how well does it hold up? And I'm also looking, how well does it bite into the wood? So I've switched now from the saber grip into the hammer grip. Sometimes I can get a little more strength in the push cuts with that. Just a different way of testing different grips and ergonomics. I'll tell you, the saber cut typically feels better, and that's the case here as well. You can see the top edge of this knife is just digging into me just a little bit. The pocket clip actually isn't too bad. You can feel it a little bit right there. It sticks up kind of high compared to most pocket clips, so you'll feel it poking you a little bit, but it's not terrible. It's just kind of okay, and that's what I'm trying to say here. So let's see if we've done any additional damage to our edge. And you can see it's like it stops immediately when I'm trying to cut into this paper, and I can't even hardly get it past that point. You know, there are places on the blade that towards the very tip of the blade I've discovered is still kind of okay, but pretty much the rest of the blade, it's just got a lot of micro nicks and snags, and I don't know if it's an edge that got rolled over, what really the situation is at the microscopic level. It's just not sharp anymore, right? So I'm going to give this 3.5, basically 3 to 4. Ergonomically, though, it was pretty good. I will give it that. We'll talk about that again here as we reach towards the end. Stropping it. By the way, I appreciate all the people recommending some stroppy stuff. I think I got some stroppy stuff and some Bark River emulsion. So I've got 16 on the rough side of this strop here, and then I've got I think it's a 6 micron on the green side, and fresh stroppy stuff. I cleaned it and added some new CBN compound to it. But here's the interesting thing: for as soft as this blade seemed, it didn't strop back well. Now, that was 19 strokes per side on that. I counted them up just to double check on this. You would think if you were dealing with a very soft steel that it ought to be able, especially with brand new, good, fresh stropping, you know, diamond emulsion, you would think you'd be able to strop it back very easily, and that just wasn't the case at all. So here's me trying to figure out, okay, is it as bad as it was? Is it any better? Are there places of the blade that got better? That's why I just keep cutting so many strips of paper here. I'm really trying to be as analytical as I can, but I just can't give this thing much more than a 5 at this point in time, even after all of that. So interesting. We'll have to talk about that. So here's our results screen. Appreciate the fact that you can't really read this very well, certainly as well as I can at least. I'm wondering if maybe I got just a bad version. You know, at this $10 level, there's just going to be quality control issues probably all over the place. I'm not in any way trying to imply that the people who tested their knives, their Ozark trails, and found the edge to be fantastic and it held up really well for them, I'm not saying those guys are wrong in any way. I'm saying they're just, the quality control is all over the place, because it seems to be almost a 50-50 mix of people out there who've tested these things and said, mine was crap, and another guy will say, mine was great. Look at how great it did in my tests. So I think I just got the luck of the draw. One of the maybe a burned edge one. A lot of people have said that might be the case. Remember, it only started out as an 8 out of 10. It just wasn't really that great to start with, but we ended up all the way down to a 3. Really poor performance in terms of edge retention. You would think a good quality D2 that was heat treated well we know it would last much better than that. I mean, we can go back to one of our other recent D2 cuts that basically was a 10 out of a 10 on my scores. So it definitely is not that same level of good quality heat treat. The geometry was really good, thin slicey blade with a hollow grind. There was no visible issues with it. So it's just luck of the draw, maybe a burnt edge. Maybe I'll go back and sharpen it and test it again and see if that makes any difference. I don't know. Again, you got to keep all this in perspective. It did fine on the hose cuts, average, not great, not terrible. The rope cutting was pretty rough. It just doesn't have much of a bite to the edge, certainly not by the time we got there. Can it cut rope? Yeah. And again, keep it all in perspective. You're talking about a $10 knife. This is the knife when you're going to your buddy's house and you're going to be sticking it in bags of concrete or potting soil and cutting rope and hay bale twine and or tie straps, or you're going to be like giving your knife hell for the day. This is one I'm still going to put in my pocket. All said and done, although it doesn't slice through paper really well, keep it in perspective. This knife is still sharp. For most people who are not like knife nerds like us, they're going to pick up that knife and feel the edge and say, oh yeah, this is a very sharp knife, right? So it's just a matter of keeping it all in perspective. I still think it's a great value overall for $10. I mean, the action is good. The ergonomics are good. The contoured scales feel good in the hand, fills the hand out just enough. It's still very lightweight. Those, steel liners in there make it feel pretty tough and durable for what it is. It's just not going to hold an edge well. At least some of these are not going to hold an edge well. It's going to be, like a box of chocolates. You never know which one you're going to get inside. You can sharpen it up fairly easily. It's a D2. I guess here's the good side. If it's as soft as it appears to be in this case, it ought to sharpen fairly easily, because it's not going to be a real hard quality D2 steel. Although, soft steels can sometimes be even harder to sharpen than good steels, because the edge, the burr keeps rolling over instead of cutting off. At any rate, again, I'm giving this 2 different scores. For the edge retention, it gets a 2. It just did a terrible job on edge retention. Overall EDC value for a $10 knife like this that you could throw in your pocket and not have to worry about losing it or beating it up or just killing it in a hard day's work, I'm going to still give this at least a 4 or 5 in just overall EDC value because of the cost of the knife. And it's still sharp enough to do a good hard day's worth of work, and you don't have to worry about it. So hopefully that makes sense. You never know what you're going to get with these. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Hopefully that is... that all makes sense. I think it does. You guys have been here, done this long enough. Give me any feedback down in the comments if you guys would like. I went through this one pretty fast compared to most of our tests. I kept all the video footage moving quickly in fast forward speed. So let me know if you like that, if you want me to slow down, you want me to go any different or cover any different topics. Otherwise, I appreciate y'all so much. As always, if you're not a subscriber, it would mean the world to me if you'd hit that subscribe button, throw me a thumbs up. That really helps us with the algorithms on YouTube, so I appreciate that always. Otherwise, look forward to chatting with you guys in the comments. Y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.